Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening. This is part 2 where we're going to finish working on this fabric folio to hold my 2025 creative calendar. So I'll link in the description below this video, as I did in the part 1, to the wonderful free online resource where you can download the pages that I've used to create my creative calendar, including these great weekly planner pages and these beautiful design pages, which actually provided the inspiration for when I was picking out the fabric that I wanted to use for my fabric folio, which is a vintage pillowcase in these beautiful blues, pinks, yellows and greens. And in the last episode we were cantha stitching all the way across the pillowcase right over to just here where we wanted to be able to fold it over to make a little pocket for our calendar to slip into, which is what we have, well, what I have done using the actual bit of the pillowcase. So the great thing is we didn't have to finish off any edges. Granted, I have turned over in places, but didn't have any raw edges that we had to work with. So this is simply a pillowcase and some grey wool blanket, just like this. I think it would have been originally a Cub Scout sort of camping blanket. So, so if you want the free printable, check below the video. There'll be a link to that. And we're going to finish doing the embellishing of it today. But first of all, an update. I've done all my cantha stitching all the way across, and you can see it just gives such a lovely quilted feel. Even using my little washi tape trick, I still managed to go a bit crooked in places with my stitching, although it is definitely a lot neater than it would be if I didn't have that. And as you can even see on the front and on the back, it's got the beautiful cantha stitching. And you can see that I just couldn't help myself last night. I wasn't going to do a video late at night, but I was just wanting to start doing the decorations. So I've already started to add a little bit on, but we'll be doing the bulk of the decoration together. And I have stitched this lovely little trim down here. And I've also stitched a little loop. But first of all, let me pop the book back in, because that will just be useful probably to have it in right there while we're decorating. Just flip it like that. So you can see it just fits in really smoothly in that it's just a perfect tight hold. And what I'd also done was folded the bottom edge over so it just came up to where the pages were, and up the top I had done the same as well. So you can see it's folded over. So it just so the book just sits in the middle, and if you make it really nice and tight and taut here, the book can't really move around that much, and it's going to give it some good stability. The good thing about only having it sort of like attached in a sense at this end, and it's not really attached, it's just slid in, is that as you fold it over, it allows the sort of the fabric to move with it, because as you can see, it's sort of naturally the folding process, the book will move a little bit, so it's helpful that this end is movable. And so the way this will work is I've got a Suffolk puff, and I've got one of my little hand done fabric covered buttons, which I'll link to the video where I did those, and I'll also link to my Suffolk puff making. And then I've just used some of this elastic, which I got a massive roll from the reverse art truck, and I've just made a little loop that I've just stitched on where I've got this lovely trim at the side, and so the loops will just go over. Originally I was thinking I'd need 3 going up here, but I think I'll just have them at the top and at the bottom. So that's probably the next thing that we will do. Well, in fact, actually, no, we'll finish stitching the rickrack. So rickrack's going to have a very special place in a special collaboration that I'm planning for this year, but stay tuned for that. I'll do a separate video on that, but I wanted to start off with the rickrack, start the way you plan to continue. So we'll do that, but what I might do for you is just sort of lay out what I'm thinking for the page. So I'm thinking I'll have... Let me just see if I can get it mostly in screen. I just need to bring you back a tiny bit and slant you up. You'll get to see a bit of the debris around the desk, but that's okay. let's just do that. Hopefully that's about right. So I've got this lovely daisy trim. And I was thinking I would sort of bring that down something, rather than just hoarding these beautiful trims. It's nice to put them on something that you're going to kind of look at and use every day. I think that's a nice idea. So yeah, something, having it come in a bit of an arc, because it's nice to think when you're doing things not just to have everything all in the same sort of lines, either to have things that sort of crisscross or to bring a bit of curvature into it, I think is always quite sweet. And then I was thinking, sorry, I'm just reaching without trying to put my entire arm in your face. Something. So these are beautiful vintage Suffolk puffs. And I've got some sweet little, so these are my handmade, sorry, my other phone just fell down. These are my handmade little covered buttons. I put them on these little button cards so I can gift them, but if I use these ones, I can always sew some other ones on. And again, yeah, I've got a video showing that. And so I was thinking of having these little daisies because, yeah, I want this to be a joyful thing that when I look at it on my desk, I want it to bring joy. And this definitely will bring joy. I love this bobbly trim. I've got quite a decent amount of it actually, so that's why I was happy to use it. And I've got a whole bag of these daisy motifs. So yes, that is my thinking. Was that all I was going to have there? I think so, because I'm kind of happy that I think actually I'd probably bring this down a smidge. And I mean, we'll be taking it off and reattaching it, but I was thinking I kind of want a bit of balance. So there's that sort of triangle following between the Suffolk puffs, and then there's the beautiful curvature of this decoration, the little daisies. Yeah, I think that will work. I think that will work nicely, and I might even bring this just a little bit over. Yep, I think that's the plan. So I'll just take these off so I kind of remember broadly how I'm going to put them on. You could always change it, obviously. Don't have to stay totally stuck. So I think first up we will finish stitching on the rickrack, and then we can do the other Suffolk puff. So I've already got a needle threaded that hopefully hasn't lost its needle. And so by having the book in here, we're actually just stitching through the top layer of the padded pillowcase. Oh, sorry. The other thing I should have said is when I folded over this edge, I just used an overcast stitch to sew that down, and I also then just used an overcast stitch when I was stitching on this little border piece, and this just helped to give a nice sort of even, robust edge to it. So that's why I selected that particular trim for there. So what I'm doing is just putting in little running stitches. So I'm just bobbing up and down, and by having the book underneath, it means that I know that I'm not going through to the other side. So we just want to be stitching on the surface itself. And I'll just make sure it's sitting straightish. I think it is pretty straight. Probably need to have it go over a tiny bit, I think. Let's just have a little look-see. So it's going to close like that. I'm just sort of feeling it along here to see that it's, yep, broadly even. And if that's like that, that looks pretty straight, doesn't it? Yep. Again, a bit of wonk's okay, because I'm always a little bit wonky. Always a bit of wonk with me. So it is Saturday here. It feels like it's, I don't know what day it feels like, because we've had the extra days off for the holiday. Both Alex and I were saying it feels like a Sunday, or even, goodness knows, I actually thought it was a Monday when I woke up. I thought, oh, do I have to work today? Nope. So we went out for a lovely family excursion. We went to Lilydale Lake, which I thought I'd been to before, but I don't think I have. And it's got, yeah, so many dogs go there. It's got little areas that Travis was able to take a swim, almost like a little beachy area, which is strange to have sand by a lake. And they had the model boats, people sort of little remote controlled boats. So they were having a little yachting regatta with those, which is interesting because they do the Melbourne to Hobart yacht race, which sadly 2 people passed away, had accidents on the boats this year. Hopefully the rest of the boats make it safely in. And they also had flying foxes at the Lilydale Lake Park, hanging in the trees and making quite a racket. They're probably glad that the hot weather's subsided yesterday and today, because I don't think the flying foxes do that well in the heat. I think they get heat exhaustion. But yeah, Travis had 2 big swims at the park. Okay, so I'm just popping my needle in, and it's just using the benefit of the fact that this has the blanket and the pillowcase. It means that our stitches aren't going through to the other side. The other way you can do it is to stick your finger underneath, and then that way you would obviously feel if it was coming through, but I'm really just sort of going in and out, and it's a great way that you can do all your stitching, and then you can be just essentially just stitching on the surface. So over time, if I find other little things I want to add to this piece, I'll happily be able to add them without having to worry about my stitches going through. And you could do any sort of design with the rickrack. You could be putting little French knots in it, but I just thought a little running stitch would be a good way to get it nicely held down, but still give it a decorative touch with this nice pink thread. So I'm just trying to kind of bring out the colours that are already in the fabric. So at this end, I think I will just give it a little trim and then tuck it underneath itself, I think will be the way to go. Over to there. And I will just, right. It's always a little bit fiddly when you get to the end, just to fold it under itself. There we go. And I'll just do a knot, I think. And I might just try and tuck that end under at the same time. Oops. Just try and attach that end under a little bit. Good-o. Just tucking it under there. Cool. Then I think I can probably just cut it off there. So I think that's looking quite nice. So let's now do our Suffolk puff and button for this end. So which button do I want? I think I'll use this one here. Each of them are just sort of stitched onto the card separately, so I don't have to remove both of them at the one time. So this will be up here. I could rethread my needle, but I don't think it actually matters. I think I can use this thread. So I'll just start by coming through from the bottom of my yo-yo. And then these buttons have a little shank on them, so I'll go through the shank and then back through my yo-yo. If you didn't have yo-yos or sort of your own covered buttons, you can really decorate these with anything at all, but these yo-yos are quite easy to make, especially easy if you have a yo-yo little plastic maker. But equally easy. You can just make them by cutting out a circle and then doing a gathering stitch around and pulling it closed, and you'll definitely get a yo-yo type shape. Might not be quite as perfect as the ones made with the makers, but really in slow stitch we're not going for perfection, are we? So once I'm happy that I have got the button nice and securely sitting in the center, then I need to line it up with where I want it to be. So this one is virtually touching that one down there is almost touching the bottom, so I guess I kind of want to do pretty much the same again. So if I have that there, I probably want to have it about there. So again, I'm just going to use the advantage of being able to put some stitches in the top. I probably will do 1 or 2 stitches through to the back as well, but first of all I'll just get it sort of going into situ where I want it. I think I've just managed to make a knot by going through my own loop, so let's just fix that first of all. Yes, there we go. So what I might do now that I've kind of got it in position is I'll pop up underneath where the button is, and then I'll pop back down, and this time I will actually go through to the back, and I'll just need to slip the book out for a moment. Now I only want to go through to I obviously don't want to go through my little flappy bit because that would seal our pocket shut, and we don't want to do that. And so I'm just going to go back in virtually very close to where it was, so we will not even sort of see it in the fabric, but that will just help to give us an extra little bit of stability with it. And so then I'll just go back here and just do a few more little surface stitches just to make sure we're securely held in shape, because remember this is going to have the loop around it, so it will have a bit of pull on it, so you just want to make sure you've got a good hold. I'm pretty happy. I think that will do the job. So I'll then just tie it off underneath here. And you know me and my knots, always like to be extra sure, and then I'll just secrete the end of the thread into the middle of the pillow, the padded pillow. Cut it off and that thread will just sit within. So let's get our book back in, calendar, creative calendar back in here. I love that, just how tightly and perfectly it fits. And again, you can just fiddle around with stitches to get it to do that. And so that will work, I think, great. And I've got another bit ready to go. So all I did with my elastic was just tied a double knot in both ends. And then the idea is that will then form our little loop. And so I'll probably stitch it with this one here. I will need to change threads here because I just want to use a nice thin white, just using one of my vintage white crochet threads, my thinner one. So I hope you're having a lovely time. If you've got some time off after Christmas celebrations, if you celebrate it. Here in Australia, it's the summer holidays, so all the kids are off school, and lots of people take leave from work. I'm back to work on Monday, just doing the working through, but having the public holidays off. Although I did have yesterday, Friday off. Did a massive sort out of our room upstairs, our sort of second sitting room that's off my crafting crafting room. I must admit I've spread a few of my little display crafty pieces out as I did the redecoration. I quite enjoy redecorating actually, and we're sorting out all our bits of sort of our 2 lots of furniture coming together. But it was nice. I was able to get a quilt out to put over one of the comfy armchairs that's now upstairs. And yeah, set up a few of the table displays. Don't know if I'm going to need to get a bigger eyed needle. For some reason it's just not wanting to take this particular. I think because this is the thicker crochet thread. I think I'll try my other one. This is the thinner one. Let's give that a go. Hopefully you're just stitching away and you're not too worried about the fact that I'm not able seemingly to thread. There we go. That's much better. Do you ever do that? You sort of have in your mind, oh, it's this thread that will go through that needle? Nope. And I've done a bodgy knot, but that's all right. We'll hide our bodgy knot away. So we're thinking we'd do it like that. So I'll put my bodgy knot in here. Catch that like that. And then I'll trim the excess ends off my bits of elastic. Because then we're going to just kind of hide these little bobbly bits. Well, not hide them, but just have them as part of our design here with our other bobbly bits. So that was the one I was going to join it to, yes. Let's pop it there. Just making sure you can see, but I think you can. And then I'll just come through a few times and go through the knot a few times just to make sure we're getting nicely held. Because again, this will have a bit of pull on it, so we just want to make sure it's secure. So going through the fabric and through the knot, you can push against your book and your fabric, and if you need it you might need your pliers. I think I used my pliers on my needle on the last one. There we go. Get that nice and secure, and then we'll anchor our other piece down as well. So I'll just put that next to it. Been watching a fabulous drama series on ABC. It's got Claudia Carvan in it, who's a great Australian actress. Can't remember what it's actually called, but it's like a sort of a drama life drama about sort of normal Australian families, and it's I think set around St Kilda, which is actually where The Secret Life of Us was set as well. Now let's just get these ends to sit. Don't know why they're trying to sit over that way. Did I catch it maybe with, I think I caught that one with a bit of thread, did I? Not totally sure what's happened here. Oh, yep, I think that bit of thread has caught over that one, dragged it over that way. That's all right, we'll get it to sit a bit flatter. I just want to get enough stitches through to make it secure. Wasn't it funny during the pandemic when elastic was, I know in Australia it was so hard to buy elastic because everyone was buying it for their masks. That's why I suspect there was a big roll of it, a big few rolls of it at the reverse art truck. So I actually thought it was a thread at the time I was getting it. Then when I got it home I went, elastic. But it has been handy to have it. I even use it to make little loops around some of my fabric folded on postcards that I use as my storage system, because sometimes they don't fold in on themselves that neatly. So tie this off because we've still got plenty of other decoration to do. And this isn't really decoration, this is more the sealing it onto the piece, the closures. Not sealing it on, don't know what words I'm saying. So I think that's going to work quite nicely. Yep, I am happy with that. That will keep it well closed, and so now we can do the rest of our decoration. So probably should do my little piece next up. Let's just double check that we're happy with how this will go. Does want to always sort of twist around a bit, doesn't it? But that's okay. Yeah, I think you want a little bit of gap down there, and then you want your beautiful, yep, so I think that's the perfect spot for our birdie bird. I don't know if it's exactly sort of even between, it looks pretty even there. So because most of the edges will be covered anyway, I think I'll just do a running stitch around the outside to hold that in place. And so I can just pop through from underneath, again not going all the way through, and then just sort of pop through here, and then just do so I'm just catching a little bit of the fabric underneath, a little bit of my cantha stitched fabric, and then catching the tapestry. So this is a beautiful little bird. I don't even know where it came from. I found it on the floor in my craft room, so it must have fallen out when I was going through some doilies. I don't even remember getting it, but it is beautiful. And we have our little bluebirds as a symbol of the friendship between Sally and Christy and I. So I might even have to add one of, I've got some little bluebird little sort of pendants, or they've got like a little hole in them so you can stitch them on almost like a button. So I might have to add one of those, I think, to this as well. Maybe one of my grandpa's keys as well would be nice, because I've got a whole box of his keys. Just want to do there. There we go. So again, this is just to hold it down, and then we'll be stitching other things over the surface anyway as decorative little touches. So it's really just like a permanent tacking stitch. You can do it obviously as an impermanent one if you are going to just want to hold it down while you kind of get other things in place, but this will all be covered anyway, so it just helps to keep it secure. But it's funny because this is a beaded bird, and I did one recently for my Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and at the time I literally do not remember having seen this piece before. So who knows where it came from. It's probably a sign I do need to sort through and have a good look, and shop this year needs to be about shopping my stash. I think I've got so many treasures. Got quite a few things of my thrifty Christmas treasures as well, because that's what I got for myself when I was picking out presents for Travis and Alex to put under the tree. It was all sort of thrifted goodies. Apart from a couple of books I've got actually as inspiration for our next Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, so I'll share those in another video as well, and share my emerging thoughts. What I'm thinking I'm going to do for that. So that's all stitched down. So just go through and put a little notch in place. Then I can secrete my thread in. but I can probably start to then stitch down. Just thinking I might actually, no, I'll probably finish it off there, the thread, and then I'll come up and stitch my yo-yos in place. But I'm really happy with how this is, how this has turned out so far. So yeah, I think I'll have those about there. So again, I can just pop through from behind them. And again, I can always, after the fact, add some, some buttons to their centres if I really want to. I just love these vintage yo-yos. They're such a good thing. And just the designs on some of the fabrics. I'm sure some of these are feed sack fabrics. Which is amazing to think of, someone had the great marketing idea to make decorative, because they saw people were making clothing out of feed sacks, just regular feed sacks, and so they had the idea of making prettily printed fabric seed sacks for people to use as fabrics for dresses and things. So again, I am just going through the layers, the layer above the others. What did I just knock down? Did I knock down my yo-yo? Where is my yellow? My yellow yo-yo is still over there. Who knows what I've knocked down? I've probably knocked down something I'm going to need in a moment, but that's okay. Might have been one of my little daisies. Maybe one of these ones. Was it? Yes, I think so. No. Can I see? Can I see what I knocked down? No, I cannot. If we need to cut some more daisies, I do have some more to cut. It's always the hazard of having everything on your desk. You invariably lose something, it sticks to something, or it falls down. So those are on, and then we need to come over here and might even just put a stitch through here. This will be putting our yellow one over here anyway. And let's do the same over there. Through the back here. Oops, where are we going? Over here-ish. And my needle, point your way up. I could obviously not have the book in it underneath, but I just find it helps to keep it sort of, sitting so it just helps me to kind of work out where I want the pieces to be. Gives me a sense of the front a bit better. Okay, and then we'll put one a bit like that. And I can just capture the back piece. Hold that in place. I can pop out over here. And then again, I can just pop down through that edge, pop up around here, and then pop down, and then pop up over here. Oops. It's fascinating. Sometimes the thread that they use to join the yo-yos together or the Suffolk puffs together to make like a yo-yo quilt, which is where these vintage ones come from, the thread is so thick. So probably because I guess again they were just using a very basic thread, and it needed to be strong to withstand being a quilt that would have been probably done in those like the old washing machines and wrung out sort of through the ringers and things like that. So it had to be strong, had to hold together. Just amazing to think all the time that went into making those yo-yo quilts, and that's why I'm glad we're kind of honouring them in our stitching today, giving them new life. I know some people say the yo-yo quilts are quite sort of daggy. I actually like them. I'm half tempted to make my own yo-yo quilt. I had actually started a jar, which is where I got these ones from, just when I had sort of, a fabric out, I would make a yo-yo out of it. So I thought, what a lovely way to kind of, preserve fabrics that you have, is make a quilt that has, one yo-yo for each of your fabrics. So I think these are almost all well stitched down. I'll just come over here and do another stitch through the yellow to hold it down. Pop over to there. And that should be about right, I think. Done, and then I'll secrete my end in and in, pull it extra tight, and that will then, the end will just pop back into the fabric. So there you go with that. And so then where have my little daisies gone? Sorry, I'm just going to move my chair for a moment and can have a look if I can see where the daisies. Oh, there they are. They did fall down. And so we were going to have our daisies like that and like that, I think, and down here. So let's grab another bit of the nice thin thread. White will do, I think. So this is just a vintage crochet thread, Coats White. Again, I won't be wasting any of my special Nana's rickrack. I'll be keeping those little scraps because they will come in handy. So Travis and Alex have gone for a little excursion down to visit Alex's parents. And it was the perfect chance for me to have a bit of sewing time because, I was busy tidying all yesterday. Sorry, I'm just having a sip of drink. So bit of stitching time after chore time yesterday. Although it feels so good to have that room sorted out because it had become a bit of not a dumping ground, but kind of as we were moving things around, it was just getting boxes and other bits and pieces there. I think I'll start with these ones here and then I can do the others. So again, I can just pop up from an area that will be covered, put the knot in there. And I can always come back and add more stitches. My main thing with you today is just to get it kind of all decorated up so you can see the finished piece. Oops, get rid of that bit of thread that I don't need. Where's that coming from? No, I won't move the camera because we'll need to be able to see the full view later anyway. Oops, catching our piece. So the Sydney fireworks will be going ahead for New Year's Eve. There'd been threats of public transport strikes, and so I think their police, sort of head of police, had said, well, if there are, we'll have to call the fireworks off. which I think lots of people were quite upset about because, yes, they were one of the first lots of major fireworks around the world for celebrating New Year's Eve, and quite an important thing for Sydney. I think lots of tourists and things go there to watch them. I'm not even sure if I could be awake. I'm often sometimes still crafting at midnight, but I'm not really a big one for New Year's parties or anything. I much prefer to be at home, relaxing, probably in my craft room. Might spend some time with Alex and Travis earlier in the evening, but there's a good chance I might be asleep at midnight. Kind of, if I'm awake, it needs to be for a good reason, not just the fact that it's, another night. If anything, I actually rather New Year's Day, and if Alex and I often take Travis down to a beach somewhere, and it's nice because there's not many people up early, and so, roads are quieter, and it's just, it's nice to kind of greet the year, not feeling tired, but feeling enlivened. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's my reason for enjoying a quieter. Just travel my thread across over to here, and then we can stitch down our little collection of daisies. Let's just pop up through there. Can't even remember where I got these. I don't know if they came from Purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles, or I might have got them from the Sewing Lair, actually. I just can't remember. Did I show them on a Thrifty Thursday video? But they're great. I love them. I love flowers. Love flowers and birds, they're my thing. And dogs. Just come back over here and come through this end. And then I'll just put a stitch in there. And then I'll probably tie it off there because then I need to get down to the bottom, don't I? Oops, catching. Second knot for good luck, and then I'll scrape my thread back into the fabric. Pull tight, and then we'll put them in down the bottom. Oops, did that not hold? No, it did not. Let me know what you're stitching. Are you making a calendar or sort of journal diary like this one? Never know what to call this. It's kind of a calendar, it's kind of a journal, it's kind of creative inspiration book. Not sure. Will that be okay? Or do I need to have that go a little bit further over? I think that will be fine. Like that. I can always add another daisy if I need to. Let me just cut that little tail off the end there. Probably should have had that just slightly further down, but that's okay. What I'll do is I'll just maybe have this sit up a tiny bit more. And they'll almost join where they, yep. So again, I'm just stitching through my sort of top bit of the padded fabric. And you don't have to have the book there. I'm just finding that's just helping me keep a nice sort of, flat surface. And also means that I would know very well if I'd got through to the other side, because I'd be sort of banging against the book cover. then just put a stitch in here and we'll pop ourselves up and just stitch this little end of the daisy down if I can get my needle through it. Through we go. Okay, and that will just help it to sit down nicely, I think. Yep, happy with that. And so I'll just come back over here and hide a notch under the daisy. And then I'll secrete the end into the fabric. Pull it tight and snipperoo. Okay, and then we will do that daisy, and then I'm actually planning on putting a bit of this lovely pink, almost fluoro trim. I've got a big roll of it again, so I'm thinking I'll put that down the inside. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's just check we're happy with how this is all going to look. I think that will be fine. Fine, and we can trim it a bit if we need to, but I can start a bit lower down here. And that will just twist its way around. So again, I will just pop through where I'm going to hide my notch. Take the end of my little thready bit. Sorry, you probably can't see that, so I'll just move it up a smidge. Just put an extra knot in there to hold, and then we'll start stitching. It's easiest not to stitch through where the actual thread is thick. It's easier to kind of find one of the thinner areas. Let's give myself a good attachment to start. And then let's just meander our way up. Should I put a pin in place just so I sort of keep on a bit of a... I've got my applicator pins, excuse my arm. Reaching across you very rudely. Hang on, I'll need to go through the fabric and then over one of those little things. Something like that. And I can probably just use one of my clips up the top. Yep, I'm happy with that, I think. Maybe I'll even bring it out a bit further. So if I've got it clipped at the top and the bottom, I'll just keep always sort of pulling it outwards. I don't think I'll need that pin there after all. Main thing is to sort of come over this edge of the little bird piece so that I don't have a raw edge there. And yeah, I just love that. I love that coming down with that sort of circling, and that it's not a perfect circle. It's a meandering circle. Sorry, and no, I think I'll stitch this way actually. So I might get my pliers because I think they will help, even just with getting it through at the angle. We need to pop over and catch each of the main blooms as we go. Maybe a longer needle might actually help me. Let me just reach up and grab my op shop set of needles. I'm wondering whether this might be too thick to push through the flowers, but it is a nice long needle. So let's have a look. Just gives you that sort of that leverage. It's always good to have a play around and just see what feels comfortable. A needle that works for someone might not work for you, but just kind of have a play around. And I buy needles of all different sizes. I don't just stick to one type because you just never know for what your application is, what's going to be handy. And we all have different we have different hands, we have different ways of sewing. There's no right or wrong. Do what works for you. It's a great thing about slow stitch. We're using materials and fabrics and textiles in all different ways, and we can also do stitching in all different ways. Use different tools. Like even using the washi tape, which is traditionally for sort of like journal making and other paper crafts, but it works incredibly well for doing this. So I probably won't get the chance to put the pink on, but I'll show you at the end where I'm going to put it, because we're coming up to our hour and I don't want to make this a extra long video. But we'll see. Probably don't need to stitch every single flower down here. I can always come back through and capture a few more if needed. Amazing how the time flies. You start a video and you think, oh yeah. But when you're stitching, you're relaxed and time gets away, doesn't it? So I think tomorrow we're going to take on Sunday a day trip to Warburton. There's a beautiful river there, which I know Travis will enjoy having a splish splash around, and I think there's a nice pizza restaurant, so we might either, I think it's dog friendly, so we can either eat there or we can get a pizza and go and eat it on the banks of the river. We normally take a picnic with us, but I thought, no, let's do a little family outing, try some of the local food. We've been having leftover Christmas ham and leftover Christmas cheeses and things, so yeah, which is almost like a picnicky sort of food, so it'd be good to have a bit of a change. Let's pop out over here if we can. Come on. Get the needle over there first, then I'll bring it through the flower. Catching on the flowers. That's why it's always good to have sort of done all your canthus stitching and things first, and then to come in with the embellishments, because Otherwise, you'd probably find you catch your cantha stitches on your embellishments. And I'll just pop over to here. Use my trusty pliers again. Again, try not to catch my flower. What have I done there? What have I done? Something to be going somewhere in there, I'm not sure. Can't even quite see what I've done. I feel like I've gone over the flower there. Not sure. Ah, there we go. Eventually we got there. Let's just check how it's laying. Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay, so we'll go over that one. Pop up over here. Try not to unthread our needle, but that's okay. Just need to get these ones down. Over to here. Just move it over so you can see. And then get that attached down there, and I'll probably just put a stitch in here for now and it'll be fine. Oops, sorry, my camera is telling me low battery as well, so everything you're saying, Christine, you're almost at the end of the video. Of course, my needle decides to unthread itself. Let's just get that stitched in place. Oops, it's decided to unthread itself, so I'll just, I think that was holding enough anyway. So there we go. I will come back through and obviously just put a few more stitches in to hold it down, but I didn't want to make it tedious for you. But here is how it is looking. And so as you can see, we haven't come through at all to the back over here. And yeah, just folds in beautifully. You can have it open to whatever page you want. So I'll be able to, as once we get to January, I'll have it so that it opens up to my January-February spread. And then when I want to write into it, I can just do that. I can also keep handily a pen in there as well with it. So always have a pen ready to go. And then, yeah, this is the beautiful front that we decorated. And I'll just show you what I'm planning for the inside. But that will hold it just nice and securely. Really happy with that. Isn't that little bird so sweet? And I can always do a few more stitches if I want in it. I could even add some further little beads, but I'm actually I'm happy with that. It probably should have had a little iron before I stitched it on. But let's take a look inside. So I'm thinking inside that I will put this beautiful pinky trim, and I think I'll put that just right down this little border here. I thought that would be quite sweet. It just adds something interesting. I mean, the other way would be to put it in the middle, but no, I think the border would be nice. And then whether I do want to put maybe another Suffolk puff up each end. No, I think I'll just have the border, and I'll probably just slightly fold the end piece just slightly under and stitch it on that way. So that will be done off camera, but otherwise here is my folio almost ready. I'll just, as I say, add a few more little stitchy details, and it's going to be an absolute joy to have sitting by my crafting desk, but also so good to just be able to carry it around. And if I go to workshops, I can put notes, and I'm figuring up the back, if I end up with more notes than what I've got space for, I can print out and fold over, even using this same sort of lovely paper, make myself some little mini booklets where I can jot down ideas as well, and then I could actually just stick those little mini booklets in here. Another possibility is I could also make a little pocket, but I didn't want to have anything that sticks up too much because I want the pages to sit pretty flat. So that's the thinking for that. So I hope you enjoyed this little 2-part series with a project of how you can upcycle a pillowcase, some old blanket, or as I mentioned, you could use a hand towel or a tea towel, and then use some of your favourite embellishments. They're there to be loved and to be used, and have something that brings you joy and inspiration as well. And also my lovely Nana's rickrack, which is going to feature in 2025. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. Bye everyone.